Again, once you're over that apprehension of taking that first step, once you're past that point, again, the snowball, it just goes and goes and goes.
You're listening to the Dare to Be Different podcast, a podcast for people who want to live an extraordinary life. On this week's episode, Joe and Ed talk about the importance of just showing up. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Dare to Be Different podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in yet another week to all of our millions and millions of listeners. I am here with Ed Newell, the famous, infamous Ed Newell, host of co-hosts of many podcasts, Keller commentary extraordinaire. How's life, man?
What an intro.
I got a little lost there.
Yeah, I get it. It's so good. Life is great. Life is great. I was just at the Grand Canyon last week. Didn't I talk about that on the show?
I think you did.
I did. Yeah.
So how was it? Was it as awe-inspiring as I had led it up to?
Yeah, it was surreal. I described it. So one, we went during the global pandemic. So they normally have about 16,000 people a day.
Okay.
At the Grand Canyon. I guarantee we didn't see more than 1,000, and
Okay.
I'm betting we didn't see more than 500 people.
Wow.
It was empty. There was nobody there. We saw one park ranger the whole time we were there, and it was literally the one at the gate that let us in.
Yep.
And she said you probably will not see anybody else working because that's just what's going on right now. And so none of the shuttles were running, but part of that was kind of nice because we got to drive everywhere, and you just got to
nice.
drive wherever you
All
wanted.
through the desert.
Yeah, just
Yep.
in the Grand Canyon, just taking. So we had an amazing time. It was my wife and I's first time there. So we spent a day there, and then spent a day in Sedona. And Sedona was just gorgeous. I don't know if you've been, but you could just vacation there. It was stunning. And I didn't realize that Sedona is the equivalent of Miami Beach.
I didn't know that.
As far as being in the desert, because
Right.
the views are stunning. The housing market is ridiculous, and it's very high priced to live there.
Okay.
Because everywhere you look is just this stunning view, and so I kind of equate it to the idea of living on the beach.
I gotcha.
So, but it was awesome, and on the way down, we had drove through what is the name of it? I think the Coconino, maybe National Forest.
Okay.
And so we had to drive on these roads that were driving on hillsides of these mountains and just these towering trees. I was driving on this little tiny road. My hands just clenched on the steering wheel, hurt, and were sweating, and I couldn't look to my left or my right. And Katie's like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, "I can't look." So we had just driving through Arizona was just amazing. So we had a great time.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Definitely one of those places that you should try and get to at least once in your life.
Yeah, anybody that lives in the United States should try to get there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's relatively cheap to do, too.
So someone said to me, I don't have the money to do that. And I was like, no, it was not expensive.
Yep.
It wasn't that bad to fly out. And we rented a car and we drove up from Phoenix. But there's tons of ways to get there. And then to visit the park, it's there's a park entry fee. It's $35 a car.
Right.
But it was not expensive at all. So you can get out there and you don't need a lot of time. That's the other thing. It's you could get your fill, and there's things online that says if you only have 2 hours at the Grand Canyon, what do you do?
Right.
You probably could go and still feel like, oh my gosh, I saw the Grand Canyon. But if you can have half a day or even a full day might even be too much. We didn't even really put in a full day.
Yeah, that was Alicia and I didn't spend a full day there. We spent a couple hours.
Right.
You walk around a little bit, and you just kind of get. Again, to me, it was just that. Oh my goodness, there's a big freaking crack in the earth.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Stunning.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we did it from the Vegas side. And so, again, anywhere to Vegas is $100 plane ticket. I mean, because of you can stay at one of the cheap hotels out there for $29 a night, rent a car for $50, and you could probably do from anywhere in the United States for $500, you could probably go see the Grand Canyon. It's not that, and that's round trip.
Yeah.
So
we went on one of the trails called the South Kaibab Trail, which is if you think of the stereotypical Grand Canyon trail of a mule walking up a narrow path on the edge of the canyon, we walked down one.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
We walked down these steps. It was terrifying. And at one point, both of our feet slipped out from underneath us. It was literally terrifying. And we got to the bottom. We were like, all right, we're good. And we just walked back. It was another, I don't know, half mile to this lookout point we actually wanted to get to, and we just gave up.
So you're like,
we were
nope.
like, we did the steps. We're just gonna go back.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we were live to tell the tale. So
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you are living the Dare to Be Different life, man.
That's why I went.
I appreciate it. All the listeners appreciate it. They're like, Ed's doing this for me, to live an extraordinary life,
Right.
being an example out there to all the listeners.
They can live vicariously through me.
Yes, be
Yeah.
inspired to go out and
Right.
do something new. So,
Yeah.
but the Dare to Be Different podcast is all about living an extraordinary life. And we use 5 values to kind of point to that: honest, passionate, adventurous, grateful, and healthy. And man, you, like I said, you do a lot of adventures, man. You get out there with your wife and your family and do stuff fun.
I'd like to think so. One of the reasons we did this trip is because we felt like we hadn't done anything adventurous in a while.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, we had a great time, and we talked about this a long time ago. I think pre-pandemic, we talked about this on the podcast. But I was supposed to go to Hawaii this year, so that's been pushed back to January. We're
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yep.
You can travel to Hawaii. You need some negative tests and things. So that'll be our next adventure, is Hawaii in January.
Good. Can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah.
So I went mountain biking this weekend, and this
Okay.
actually leads into this isn't just us chit chatting. So this leads into the topic
it.
of today. But I went mountain biking this weekend, and I went 2 days in a row, and our cabin has like tons of mountain biking trails. So, like, it's kind of one of the things that the area is known for, and I love mountain biking, but I don't do it a lot.
Yeah.
And I made the decision after our last podcast where I said, hey, we're going to talk about, just showing up.
Right.
I made a decision that if nothing else, I'm going to take the bike up and I'm going to put all of the clothes on, put the helmet on. And even if I go up to the end of the road and back, like, I'm doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Right.
And I went out for 2 days. It was probably the most fun. Like, it's like, and mountain biking's like 2 hours. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You kind of go out in the woods, you do your thing. And on Friday, I went by myself, which was pretty cool. I hit some really awesome trails.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, this was Saturday and Sunday. So I lost a day here. This is, by the way,
I
we're
know.
recording this right after the holiday,
Labor Day,
after
yeah.
the holiday weekend. But so this was Saturday and Sunday. So then Sunday, one of the guys from the Flex Screen plant came up, and we rode. He and his wife came up, and we rode for the afternoon. And I'm like, this is one of my favorite things in the world to do. Like, I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
Right.
But forcing myself to do it
Yeah.
is crazy hard.
And isn't it so surprising?
It is.
Why is there that battle? If you like it so much, why is there a battle to actually get out and do it?
I know. It's the same thing. I started exercising
Right.
again, right? And I've had to get to the point where I'm like, my goal is not to exercise. It's simply to go to the workout room. Like,
Yeah.
it's simply to go to the
Right.
gym. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Just get there.
that's it.
Yeah.
Like, if I walk in the front door, and I actually really enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's the getting there.
Right.
That's a problem. That's what I want to talk about today is just showing up. So there's a famous quote by Woody Allen. He said 80% of success is just showing up. And there's so much truth to that. There's so much truth to that. Like, you just have to take that first step towards something.
Right.
To start that habit, start
Yeah.
that journey towards whatever your goal is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, the battle, the gym's a really good example, I think, to maybe start us on, because for me, so much of the battle is the moment when I wake up. It's like, okay, or even before I fall asleep, I'm like, I want to go to the gym in the morning. So then the dread starts the night before. It's like, I got to wake up early. I got to, get my clothes on, all that stuff. And then even the drive there, I'm like, I could just, turn around. I could just go to Starbucks,
Like,
do
Duncan is calling my name.
anything other than
Yeah.
what I'm about to do. There are times then I get to the parking lot of the gym in the morning. I sit in my car and I just sit there, and I'm like, this is a step. Like, I could turn around now and feel like, okay, tomorrow I'll actually go inside. But it's just the battle to get there. But once you do walk in the door, from that point, it becomes easy, because I'm like, all right, well, I'm here, so
Yep.
I might as well get on the treadmill. And then, okay, I've done that, so I might as well pull out my app and look at what exercises I'm supposed to do today. And all of a sudden, an hour in, I'm like, okay, I did my full workout.
Right.
And then I'm leaving feeling fantastic. But it's that hour between when I wake up to get there, or however long that time is, It's like, man, that is the battleground. That's when you got to fight through to actually just show up.
Yep. And it's one of those truths that we all know. We all inherently know that self-improvement requires a change in your habits, right? We know
yeah.
that, right? Like if you want to do better,
Yeah.
if you want something better for your life, you have to change your habits.
Make a positive
You
adjustment.
have to make a positive adjustment, right?
Right.
And so, but I think that sometimes our goals are so big that it makes it hard to take that step. It makes it hard to do that because again, with the gym, you're like, okay, I want to lose 30 pounds, 20 pounds, 5 pounds. It doesn't really matter. I want to look better in a bathing suit. Whatever that goal is, why you're going to the gym, and or I want to get healthier, which again is a tough goal because it's undefined,
Obscure.
right?
Yeah.
But you have this huge goal out there, and then you start okay, well, how long is it going to take me to get there? Like, how much work do I have to do? What's it? What happens when I mess up? What happens when that chocolate chip cookie calls my name? Blah 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 blah.
Right.
And our goals get so big that it just becomes easy to go,
Right.
I'll try tomorrow. We'll
Yeah.
try again tomorrow. I'm
Yeah.
just going to sit in the parking lot until
Yeah.
tomorrow. But when you just show up, when your goal becomes, instead of I'm going running today, where you go, I'm just going to put my shoes on. I'm going to put my running shoes on and I'm going to walk outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that becomes a much easier goal.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I'm going to take it another direction, just in the idea of just showing up. I've talked to a lot of people who might be struggling in their relationship or their marriage, right?
Yep.
And some of the conversations that I begin to have with these people they're like, man, I'm fighting with my spouse and I don't want to be at home. I don't want to be around them. And they're literally frustrated with them. So when they're done with work, they go do something else. Or they're constantly finding reasons to not be around them. So maybe they voluntarily stay late at work, or maybe they're going out with the friends this night, or they have to go run an errand after work. Just these little things, these little things that they really don't need to be doing, but they choose to do them because they don't want to be around their spouse. And so part of the dialogue that I've had with these people over the years is like, there's power in just showing up and maybe keep showing up. So like, if your marriage is not doing well, one thing I would not encourage you to do is stay away from home.
Right.
Go home. Just go be around them. It might be difficult. Yeah, you might get into some arguments. Yeah, you might have some awkward situations you need to work out, but that's the point. Like, that's going to be the thing that's actually going to resolve whatever you guys got going on. The problem is when you make a decision to not show up, then you're leaving no room for hope at all. You're leaving no room for advancement, no room for improvement. And so there's this power for showing up if you want to create a positive habit, right? That's what we're talking about in the idea of getting healthy. But a lot of times I think just for our everyday life, I think things can kind of beat us down to the point that we decide we're not going to show up, and it has such a negative impact on just, I don't know, having a healthy relationship or even going to work, right? Like if you start being disengaged with work or disillusioned with work, and all of a sudden you're maybe coming in and you're just,
going through the motions.
Yeah.
You put in your time.
You didn't take care of yourself. You didn't wear your best clothes in the work. So you look a little rough, or maybe you're showing up just a little bit late and there's this pattern forming. And it's like, no, like you want, at the end of the day, you need the job, you need the money. You probably want to be successful. You want to feel like you're doing something successful. So just show up on time, just the power of just showing up. So I think the power of showing up can, it's in every area of our life.
It is. And when I was thinking through the topic, I was going up with the, just get started. But to your point, just showing up it's widespread. Like there's so many different ways of looking at it, because just showing up creates opportunities,
Yes,
So
that's really good.
It really does. Like if you're not there,
your social media team needs to make a graphic on that. Just showing up creates opportunities. Book that.
There you go. Guess what? If we weren't doing this podcast, if we didn't show up and do this podcast, we never would have got that quote.
That graphic right there, that quote.
But it is. I mean, there's a lot of times this podcast is a great, it's a great thing to look at. Like we just show up every week, and we do some research and stuff like that, and we're helping people we're creating an opportunity for us to help people by simply showing up.
Showing up.
No idea if it was going to be successful or not, but we just said, hey, we're going to remain committed to doing this, and it creates opportunity. There's a lot of times in my life, just with business opportunities where it was being in the right place at the right time that created the opportunity.
Wow.
But I had to be there.
Right.
I had to be there at that right place, or otherwise somebody else would have gotten that opportunity,
Right.
or that opportunity just would have been gone.
Yeah.
So
So it's the idea that just showing up, you're right, it can start something, but it also can maybe heal something or maintain something. And to your initial point, I actually think it lowers the expectation of the goal, right? Because maybe you were being disillusioned at work because you don't like your boss, or you're in the middle of a project that you really just don't like. But
right.
the project's going to come to an end, and there are things you can do to improve your relationship with your boss, right? And so, but those things might seem like the daunting aspect of the things that need solved. Just showing up is just showing up,
Right.
right? Just putting on your shoes and stepping outside is just putting on your shoes and stepping outside. It's like it breaks it down to the lowest common denominator of the thing you actually need to do, and then it just doing that one thing will position you for success.
Yeah, there's so many times like where my family is, our garage is terrible. Like, so my wife parks in the garage like 99% of the time, but there's like there comes a time where we like it just becomes like the dropping point for everything in our lives. Like I know there's some people that I'm very jealous of that have these meticulous garages. They go in and it's like everything has a spot. That will never be us, right? So there's at least, I don't know, twice a year where like it gets so bad that Alicia can't pull into the garage anymore. Like it's like we're like scooting stuff out.
Yeah.
And so then we're like, okay, we have to clean up the garage.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where you go in and you're like, oh, like it's so daunting. You're like, oh my goodness, I have absolutely no clue how this is all going to get done. You're like, that's supposed to go there. That's supposed to go there. I don't even know what to do with this. I don't even remember what this is. But like we have this thing where like, okay, everybody pick up one thing. Like everybody pick up one thing and put it away.
Right.
Like find a place for it. And that's how we start, right? So you pick up that one thing and it finds a new home or gets thrown away or whatever the case may be. Okay, everybody pick up one more thing. And then that snowball just starts and you're like, oh, and then you turn around and 2 hours later the garage is all cleaned up and it's good to go.
Yeah.
And like I said, to me, just getting back to the habits side of things, I think that, getting started it's just one of those necessary tasks. Of course, getting started that's a stupid thing to say, but
don't make a graphic out of that.
Yeah, getting started is necessary to change anything, but but that step is usually the most difficult one to do.
Right.
Who was the army general or something like that says, look, if you want to change your life, make your bed every day. There was like a big thing that he did. It went around on social media, but there's so much truth to that. Like if you start your day off that way and you do something that there's this little success that happens when you make your bed, you're like, oh, my bed's made. You know what I mean? And then that just snowballs into the next one. Now I'm going to put away my clothes or I'm going to brush my teeth or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of work through those successes.
Right.
That's the snowball of good habits starting.
Yeah, small decisions will lead to big changes, right? Another really dumb example, we have one of those food services we subscribe to, right? So we get the meals, and when the meals show up, I don't get excited anymore. I'm like, oh, great, now I got to cook dinner. That's what I think. I'm like, now I got to actually cook a meal instead of go spend money I shouldn't be spending on eating out or eat something I shouldn't have, which I'd probably rather have. So I get these nice healthy meals, and then I take them out of the box. And I'm like, all right, yeah, I picked these meals, so they look kind of good. I put them in the fridge, and then they sit in there for way longer than they probably should. And it takes just so much effort on my part to grab the bag and grab the instructions and just start it.
And just start putting stuff together.
Yeah, but the moment I open the bag and put the ingredients on the counter and actually look at step one, which is super simple. It's like, cut this one thing, right? As soon as I do that, 30 minutes later, it's like I got this amazing meal that I just would have never had. And the difficulty, the challenge is just starting. And so I don't know what that is about the human spirit or the I don't even know if that's the right phrasing of that.
Like the human condition, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
The struggle to start. But it's just these lies that we tell us of the time it's gonna take or how much work it's gonna take or something that truly I think just pushes us down to the point that we don't even begin. But if you can overcome that initial thought, if you can overcome those initial feelings, man, the changes you'd be able to make in your life and the positive habits you'd be able to form, I think would shock you if you could just learn the power of showing up.
Yeah, and I would go a step further, and I would say that the successful people that we look up to in our lives, I would say that most of the difference between them and us is simply taking that little first step.
Right.
It's just that simple. What's that little first step that gets them on a path that now they have success that we can strive towards?
Yep.
The Jeff Bezos of the world didn't start off, being a multi-billionaire. I saw this the other day.
Mm.
Like, hey, if you want some good news, just realize that you are much closer to being a millionaire than Jeff Bezos is.
Oh my God.
How about that? But anyway, yeah, do the math, folks.
Yeah. He's rich.
Yes. But he started off, with one step. You know what I mean? There was something that happened that he took one step towards being Amazon,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
now, but to your point earlier, it goes with every aspect of our lives. If you
Right.
want to have a great relationship with your kids, your spouse, or whatever, you have to take a step.
Yeah.
Alicia and I, again, back in our early 20s when we were figuring out how to be married, we actually went to a marriage counselor. And the first thing that they had us do was say something nice about your spouse. Like, what? Like, yeah, say something nice about your spouse.
Yeah.
And so you like dig deep and it's awkward and it's uncomfortable and you're like, you say something nice.
Yeah.
Say something that, made you guys fall in love. And again, these are like such little tiny steps, but how many people don't do that on a regular basis?
Right.
How many people don't, take the time to think back and go, wow, this is the reason that I decided to live the rest of my life with this person. Say something nice to your child once a day.
Yeah.
You want to have a great relationship with your child? That's a great step right there.
Yeah.
Just find something that you can celebrate about your child every single day. I bet you if you just do that, your relationship will change with your child over, a week. It wouldn't take very long.
Well, and I've heard it also said related to this idea of just showing up, and I'm not even in this season of my life yet, but you've gone through it a lot. If your kids are in activities or in sports, the power of just showing up to those events.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Just being there for them and the power that has in the moment and the power that it has over the long haul. And the kid might not even realize it if you're always there, but they'll definitely realize something if you're not there.
Absolutely.
And there's power in just being there for people. Just showing up, I think, can honestly can bleed into every good habit that you want to talk about. Like if you want to start tomorrow right, just show up to your bedtime on time.
Yeah.
Right? Like whenever you want to go to sleep, just show up on time to when you actually want to go to sleep and not lay in bed and look at your phone for another 2 hours before you actually fall asleep, but actually go to sleep. If you want to be successful this day, just show up to waking up when your alarm says to wake up or just set the alarm, right? So there's like just a unique principle in this idea of just showing up. It's like, I think at the core, most of us know the things we need to do in order to be generally successful.
Right.
And are you actually going to take the step to do that? Are you actually going to take that initial step towards accomplishing it?
Yeah. So, again, just going through some other really, really quick ones. Financial, start with $1. $1 a day. Save $1 a day. $30 a month.
Wow.
Man, again, it's so easy, right?
It's really good.
When we were getting out of debt, it was pay off your smallest bill first.
Right.
You know what I mean? Pay off. So again, we had like a little credit card that like had $250 off of it. You know what I mean? We strive to pay that $250 off, and we're like, woohoo, great.
Yeah.
And then we moved on to the next one, and then on to the next one. And so, health. We talked about that a lot. Just go for a walk out to your mailbox every day.
Yeah.
Like, just like go out, put your shoes on, walk down to the neighbors and back. Just start showing up. Start little tiny things. Relationships we kind of
Yep.
talked about.
Yeah. Even if you want to make a positive habit, like you want to read a book this month.
Yep.
It's like just pick it up and say I'm going to read the first page, right?
Yep.
Just set the smallest goal as it relates to that book. Don't say I'm going to read for 20 minutes or whatever. Don't try to make it overly specific or set a goal that, to be honest, just might realistically seem unattainable for you in the moment. Just say I'm just going to pick up the book and I'm going to read the first page.
Yeah, there's one thing I want to start journaling. And man, that is one of those things. Like, I bought a journal and it sits there, and I'm having the hardest time putting pen to paper.
So you actually want to write.
I actually want to write and just I've heard, I've never done it before,
Me
but
either.
I've heard that it's really, really good for you. It's cathartic. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be,
Right.
all this stuff. And I have just never been able to do it. And this is one of those things, like, for the next week, I'm going to look at it and go, okay, I'm going to write one sentence. Like, today was the day that I started, period. You know what I mean?
Man.
Whatever,
Yeah.
but that's just going to be that's one of my things where it's like, okay, one sentence a day. I can do one sentence. I can do, like, it's
Right.
that whole, like, you can do anything for 10 seconds sort of
Yeah.
thing. That's kind of where I'm going to start with that is.
Can I ask you, I don't know if you remember this or can put a timeline to this, but how long did it take from the moment you felt in your spirit that there needed to be a flexible window screen to the moment you actually got the materials and started working on it in your garage? How long was that period of time?
Wow. Probably a year of thinking about it, but then it was just then it was just a step. Then as soon as that step hit, it was
went.
all over. Like,
Right.
yeah, it was like, and then it was every day in my garage,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Because
So,
I'm sure a lot of the thinking over that year was, I don't know, I probably couldn't do that.
oh, exactly. Like, man, somebody should have thought of that already. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Why didn't somebody think of that? What else? What are the pitfalls that I'm kind of going to? Do I want to have? Is there really that much demand for it? All of those types of things where you kind of work through all of that in your mind. But then as soon as you, like you said, as soon as I started experimenting, it was just, wow,
Yeah.
okay, well, that wasn't as tough as it. And again, it took years in my garage,
Right.
but those steps were not necessarily difficult.
Right.
And then they actually got kind of fun
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Again, once you're over that apprehension of taking that first step, once you're past that point, again, the snowball, it just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah. So in that regards, we've been looking at this maybe from some small level goals, but that obviously became an aspirational dream that is now your entire world, your entire career, your whole life is built on flex screen. And so from that point, it's like, if I would have said, "Hey Joe, this is the goal," or if you would have even said, "This is the goal to get to where you're at today," it would have seemed so unattainable. But
Oh yeah,
just showing up was grabbing a few things that you thought could make a flexible window screen and showing up to your garage that is full of stuff that your wife can't even park in there.
yeah. Like, literally, it was get in the car and drive to Lowe's. Like, that was the first step.
Yeah.
And then wander up and down the aisles, going, I can make something out of that. Can I make something out of that? That was the first step towards
Wow.
flex screen. So, hey, you never know what that first step, what the end of the journey looks like,
Yeah.
but you can't start without taking that first step.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good place to leave off here
Yeah.
as we're running out of
I
time.
love that.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for being a part of this. I really urge you, no matter what it is in your life that you want to accomplish, that you want to change, whatever habit it is, figure out what that little first step is and take it.
Yeah.
That's simple.
It's good.
All right. So catch you guys next week. Forward this on to somebody that needs to hear it, and make sure that you are living an extraordinary life. We love you. Catch you next week.